I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
I think, if we just kind of go into the beginning, because this is where it all kind of stemmed from, is we applauded Frank for getting the tactics right earlier, against United. They didn't know what to do with it. Today, he just, again, copy pasted the lineup, stuck with it. And I can understand, you don't have a lot of time to turn around and change a lot with the team. But I don't know if it's the tactics, Dan. I don't know if it's the energy level. I don't know if it was the mentality of the team. But when Nick says the game is tight, the scoreline was tight. It was the most open, loose, worst transitioning between offense to defense and defense to offense I have seen. And it was on both sides. I mean, people just forgetting the basics. And I don't get how it's got to be so frustrating for Frank to be like, all right, go do what you just did against United. You stepped up. It was FA Cup semifinal. We nailed it. Here's your chance to ruin the champions on their day. Oh, no, you're okay. You're going to lay down. Got it.
So, I'm going to reward the same team that played. You guys were heroes. I'm going to reward this. And it just didn't work, Dan. That's the terrible thing about this whole season. It could be the story of the season.
The most frustrating thing to me is that this was absolutely a winnable game. And you could tell the tide was not in our favor. The Willian giveaway that led to Naby Keita just pulling off a screamer. Like, he just pulled something out of his locker that he doesn't typically uncork. But the rarest of occasions, like a Liverpool trophy ceremony, you have the non-foul on Kovacic that gets awarded where it gives up a free kick. And it was the type of free kick we've given away this season where you can book it as a goal. Like, you should be running to the betting stall to put money down because you'll be buying a new house with that money. It's like buying Tesla stock. It just was those kind of calamity of errors that made it difficult to watch the match and enjoy it, because I actually don't think the tactics were off. We were moving the ball forward. We're causing tons of problems on the wings, just as much as we were being terrorized by Robertson and Alexander-Arnold. Reece James and Marcus Alonso were giving as good as they were getting for the vast majority of the game. And so I think where we were let down, Nick, is really, our midfields was kind of completely bypassed and didn't offer a whole lot. So Kovacic and Jorginho did not have the kind of best day out. Really, we're just getting bypassed. And, the tiredness of the front three. I mean, credit to Giroud for staying out there as long as he did, but you could tell that Mason and Willian were definitely off the pace.
Yeah, I mean, so I actually went back and forth with Chidge on Twitter today about some of these tactics, right? And the problem that you run into, right, is Frank has to make a choice. He has to decide who he wants to try and beat him. And he chose the midfield of Liverpool, sans Henderson, sans Oxlade-Chamberlain for the most part, even though he got a little cameo at the end. He wanted Naby Keita to beat us and not Mo Salah or Mane or whatever. And the problem is that even though the tactics, I think, offensively were right, the defensive side of the game just wasn't there. When you play wing backs, you expect that you're going to have two layers of defense on the wing. And at times today, it didn't even seem like there was one layer there. And that's not how you're going to beat Liverpool. Reece James, on the other hand, going forward, he's never had more space. He could have built a house in the area that he had on the right-hand side, same with Alonso on the left, and they just really couldn't convert it. So it was a tough break for Lampard there.
Yeah, and kind of building on what you just said, I think if you would ask Klopp if he would rather go toe-to-toe with us crossing and them crossing, I think he would have taken his. And honestly, if you look at Chelsea this season, we haven't had the most success crossing balls in, even though we do play in an expansive style. We do get guys like Reece and Alonso crossing the ball in. We don't necessarily convert those chances. If you look at Liverpool, they convert those chances on the regular, and they punish teams with crosses from Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. And it's kind of like, it's one of the things where if you're a manager like Frank and you're still kind of figuring out exactly what your best team is, and you're taking every game as a sort of learning experience, and taking notes on how we looked against United. We looked great. We played that system that made us look like we were world beaters, and we were easily playing United off the park. And then you go to Liverpool and play that same style, and then you come up with blanks. It's almost like I can't really fault Lampard that much, because he's still trying to learn exactly what is going to make this team tick, and you can't blame him for thinking that after that Sunday's performance that he would get a result and that our team would show up and play well. That being said, there were key deficiencies in areas that you noted, particularly right in front of our back four, where I feel like, Jorginho is not going to give you the protection there, whether he's running back behind play or whether he's standing there himself. And obviously it takes a couple of, unlucky moments, Willian playing the ball back before Naby Keita hit that pile driver. Those sorts of things didn't go our way this game, but I don't know. I can't really blame Frank's tactics for that. I think that there's got to be an understanding there amongst the players. Someone has to take charge and say, we aren't going to continuously get beaten this way. And today that didn't happen.
It didn't. It was just, again, one of those things where, I think Frank's got to be really confused, to your point, Amity, that he can watch them do such great things and then not 72 hours later watch the exact same team go out there and be mediocre at best. And Liverpool's best players today were Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, 8.0 and 8.4. They're wingbacks, by far the best players. Chelsea had two players above a 7. That was Reece James and Giroud, who were a 7.1 and a 7.0. Liverpool had 7 players above a 7, all on Who Scores rating. So again, that just shows you bang average on the day. Willian, who's been on fire since the restart, couldn't have had a worse day out, minus putting the ball in his own net. Mount, poor guy. His energy, the pressing, any kind of creativity, it just wasn't there. And I think we saw that, as we got into the match a little bit later. So Grant James on Twitter, Grant Smith, had tweeted a while ago that Lampard has changed to a back 3 to beat Wolves, Lille, Tottenham, home and away, and Man United on Sunday. However, he stuck with that shape for the following match with these results. Lost 1-0 to Valencia, lost 2-0 to Southampton, got pummeled by Bayern 3-0. And then he tweeted a few hours ago, unfortunately, I now have to add Liverpool 5-3 for Chelsea to this. What a weird, consistent inconsistency for this team.
It's predictably unpredictable, right? Or
that's what I say, consistently inconsistent. Yeah. You're just taking my words and changing them.
Yeah, to the right words. Yeah. I think there is a school of thought out there that we could have gone 4-3-3 for this match because we played 4-3-3 against Liverpool the previous 3 outings that we had against them and had really good games in that formation because we basically neutralized a midfield that is the supply line to the front line, right? If you eliminate Keita and, in previous iterations, Henderson and Fabinho and all that crew, Oxlade-Chamberlain you throw in there, you essentially cut off a lot of supply. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to cut off all of it because you're essentially then asking Reece James and Aspi and Alonso, or whatever combination of those two in a 4-3-3 to defend against Alexander-Arnold and Robertson, and that's a tough ask, especially on 3 days rest when Liverpool had all weekend. So it was always going to be tough, but we've never missed N'Golo Kante or Billy Gilmore more than we did today. I mean, really, genuinely, if you look at what we lacked in front of, their kind of movement in front of goal and all the interchange that happened, they played really well, by the way. This was not the Liverpool that was on the beach like everyone proclaimed they were going to be. They were up for this. They want to beat us. Klopp, I think, respects the hell out of Lampard, but wants to show him some stuff. This was a really good performance from Liverpool, and we still scored 3. So there's an immense amount of negative you can put into this, and I'm the king of that effort.
Mm-hmm.
But to maybe Dan's point earlier, you score 3, and you probably should have scored 6 against this team. There's something there. It doesn't mean it's going to help you right now. Yeah.
It was there to win. And I think that's the thing that has frustrated me across all of the Liverpool matches this season, because I think we're not that far off of where they are from being able to execute on a strategy. As good as they are and as deserving as they are to be the champions of England this season, you know, with a second-year manager, first year in the Premier League, with a bunch of young bodies on there, without Eden Hazard, we still have taken them to the ropes into the 12th round every single time. And outside of some fluky stuff this game, we're bagging 3 points, and we're celebrating the fact that Frank has done kind of the remarkable yet again. And so, like, I don't know. I think it was easy in the moment to be super frustrated and upset. I would try to zoom out and take a look at the holistic picture and say that what we also got in this match was we got a really good response from a couple of young players who came on, and that was exciting to see too, which I know we'll get into as well.
You know, I had sent one thing in the group chat, because it was one of those where Frank was like, yeah, you know, there was the first goal that we conceded, and then there was the non-foul that went to the second, and then there was a third foul, or the third goal. He goes, but other than that, it went pretty well today. And it's like, yeah, but that hole was way too deep to dig yourself out of. Like, those things did happen though, and like a couple of them were preventable. And
he channeled some inner Michael Scott in that moment.
Yeah.
If not for this bullet wound, I wouldn't be leaking as much blood as I am. So like,
yeah.
Okay, sure.
I kind of read that and was like, well, yeah, Frank. Unfortunately, though, we got our shit kicked a little bit.